Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. We are in the penultimate week of the season, game week 37, and in today's video I'll be going through my ultimate free hit draft and discussing some of the different players that I think you should go for, discussing formations, captaincy, etc. and all of the stuff that you will need to hopefully nail that free hit draft. If you are enjoying the content here on this channel, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. But without further ado, let's jump to today's video. So guys, before we jump into today's video, I just want to give a massive shout out to Ultimate Champions who continue to sponsor the videos here on this channel. Ultimate Champions is live. You can now play Ultimate Champions. Like I said, it's a combination between like fantasy football, trading cards and FIFA. It's, I think, probably the future of fantasy football. It's combining like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, with fantasy football. You collect your favorite cards, your favorite players as NFTs. You can trade them on the market. You can put them into your team. The more points you earn across the weekend, as with fantasy football, the better the rewards you can earn. You can then either earn or open packs, trade on the market, and potentially earn some real life cash as well. So you can play it for free now. Link in the description to Ultimate Champions. If you do give it a go, make sure to let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Make sure to let me know what team you get as well, and hopefully get some good players from the packs as well. So guys, we're going to structure this in a similar fashion to the team selection videos where we go through the defense, midfield, and then the attack. And then at the end, we've got some projected points from FPL Review just to show you what the optimal team is according to the algorithm. And for all of these different positions that we go through, midfield, defense, attack, all of these different players, I'll give you some of the alternatives that I potentially like if you don't go for these players. And hopefully I'll do a good job of justifying why I've selected these players. If you're on the free hit yourself, also let me know your team down below in the comments. You can either just drop your full team down below or ask for some opinions on different players, and I'll do my best to reply to as many of you as possible. So, the team that I'm currently presenting to you is a 3-5-2. It's around 103.9, 104 million pound team value. I've already, of course, bought some of these players at cheaper prices. I don't own some that you might already own. So for you, it might be something between like 103 and 105, depending on your team value and which players you already own. There are several places that you can either upgrade or downgrade if you either have money in the bank or you can't quite afford this team. We're lining up in a 3-5-2, starting with the goalkeeper, Pickford. The reason for putting Pickford in goal is I just think that the two fixtures are very, very good for Everton. I really want to target those two fixtures, specifically from a defensive aspect as well. I actually think they're really good. Brentford have looked really decent recently, and actually their underlying data is quite good as well. But I just think two home fixtures. Everton are historically and this season and in recent weeks better at home as well. I just think that the momentum is with Everton at the moment, and so I wanted to try and get a defender in there. We'll discuss in a second why I've chosen Pickford as opposed to the defenders, but Pickford does make a lot of saves, and to be honest, in this team, I would be hoping for maybe one clean sheet from Pickford, maybe targeting that Palace fixture because Palace haven't been that great going forward. But either way, I think Pickford's a great option. The other player that you could potentially go for in goal is either Martinez, if you don't have enough outfield players from Aston Villa. I think Martinez is a fantastic option. You've got Schmeichel in there as well, but I think, of course, one of the fixtures for Leicester is Chelsea, and they're both away from home as well. So I think I prefer Pickford there. The only other player that I would be slightly tempted by is maybe Butland. Now, I would have said Gaeta, but Gaeta missed out in game week 36. I was trying to find the news before recording this video. If you know exactly what's happened, let me know down below. Apparently, he might be out for the season. There's also been rumours that he might want to return to Valencia as well. So if Butland's nailed on and we get some news that Gaeta's definitely out and Butland's going to play, he's, of course, pretty cheap. He's playing in arguably one of the best defences in the league. So just to give you some data, Crystal Palace are the third best defence in the league over the last 6 game weeks for expected goals conceded. And all season long, they've been in the top 8 for expected goals conceded. So you're looking at a really, really class defence. And under Vieira, they've only got better. And in recent weeks, they continue to show that they can defend well. So I like the idea of getting a Crystal Palace defender in there if you can. And if Gaeta's out, Butland could be a great way to do that. But I've got Pickford in there for now. And then I've got 3 defenders. I've got Trent in there as my only single game week defender. He's just so good. His data continues to be absolutely fantastic. He was a little bit off the boil in the first game of game week 36, but he still looked really, really dangerous. Still got in some really good opportunities. Took a few shots, made several crosses as well. And I just think that with this team, I've got the budget there to go for one premium defender. And for me, if I have that choice, it's always going to be Trent above the likes of Cancelo. Now, there are ways to downgrade the attack if you want to also get a Manchester City defender in there, because I think that will be the major criticism of this team. I think a lot of people will say there's a real absence of Manchester City defence, especially after what happened in the first game of game week 36. Of course, Laporte, Diaz and Cancelo all getting attacking returns. Diaz did unfortunately go off injured, but Laporte and Cancelo look fairly locked on to play the remainder of the games. And of course, they defend so incredibly well. But the other 2 defenders that I've gone for are the 2 fullbacks from Aston Villa, Cash and Luka Dean. The reason for that is twofold. threefold, I suppose. Number one, fixtures are really, really nice. Again, similar to Pickford, 2 home fixtures, Crystal Palace and Burnley. Specifically, again, from a defensive perspective, I really like Crystal Palace and Burnley as the fixtures. From an attacking perspective, I actually think they might struggle a little bit, the Aston Villa attackers we'll discuss a little bit later. But defensively, they look like 2 really good fixtures. The Burnley one in particular, I could see a clean sheet there, definitely. Of course, they beat Burnley 3-1 in game week 36. We've seen what they can do against Burnley. So I think that's a decent fixture. The other reason is I just think they're very, very good from an attacking perspective when you look at some of the other cheap defenders that you can choose on your Game Week 37 free hit. Cash and Luka Dean are both sitting at a 0.13 non-penalty expected goal involvement over the season. And in recent weeks, very similar as well. So I think with the 2 of them, you've got great fixtures, you've got great attacking output. And then the third and final reason I really like Aston Villa defenders is similarly to Palace, they've got really good defensive data. So over the last 6 game weeks, they're currently 5th for expected goals conceded per 90 at the time of recording this. And across the season, again, similar to Palace, they're sitting in the top 8 for the majority of the season, regardless of what sample you look at and which period of time you look at as well. So I think with this defense, you're getting the best of pretty much everything, apart from you might be missing 2 things. Number 1, a Crystal Palace defender, and number 2, a Manchester City defender. So you could potentially switch out either Pickford for Butland, if, again, it looks like he's going to play. You could try and get Cancelo in there ahead of Cash or Luka Dean, or you could potentially try and squeeze a Crystal Palace defender in there, such as a Mark Gehi, Anderson, or Mitchell, instead of one of the Aston Villa defenders as well. So hopefully that justification is clear. You've got some different alternatives in there if you want to. Let's now move on to the midfield. So here is the midfield 5. We're going to talk through each of them individually and just discuss the general structure and some other players again that you might want to opt for. I'm a little bit disappointed. I mean, I'm not disappointed because I'm not free hitting, but I'm disappointed for game week 37 free hitters because the midfield looked like that spot where you said, this is the benefit of going for a 37 free hit. The likes of Maddison, Coutinho, Zaha, there was loads of options that we could have potentially chosen from. And slowly, one by one, they've kind of dropped off for different reasons. So I'd like to actually start by discussing the 2 omissions in this team, in the midfield, that you might have, again, a few weeks ago wanted to go for. The first being Coutinho. Now, I've only seen the first game of game week 36. Buendia played ahead of Coutinho, which Aston Villa fans have been calling for a few game weeks now. He looked unbelievably good. But again, Coutinho has shown glimpses of that across the season as well. So I'm not necessarily sure that means that Coutinho is going to suddenly just drop out of the team altogether. It would worry me that he's only maybe going to start 1. He could potentially miss both of them. We're going to have to wait and see what happens in the second game in game week 36 against Liverpool. But I would be slightly worried, and maybe that would put me off picking him on a 37 free hit. I think if you're not free hitting and you own him already, I probably wouldn't sell him unless you want to go for someone else in particular. I'd probably still keep him, but I wouldn't necessarily be looking to move to him now this week. And then the second player is Maddison. Maddison looks like he's really re-aggravated that hip injury, although there is talk that he was maybe just rested for the Everton fixture in 36 and he's going to start the Norwich fixture again. I'm recording this before the second round of Game Week 36 fixtures. If Maddison looks fit and firing against Norwich, maybe you want to take the punt on Maddison. You could potentially put him into this team, but that's the reason for the 2 omissions there. So I've actually got 3 single game week players in my midfield. Starting with Salah, I just think I'd have Salah in every free hit. Again, you saw my game week 33 free hit. If you've watched the channel for a while now, I had Salah in there. He scored 19 points. Again, that was against Manchester United, but that's what Salah can do. On penalties, best underlying data in the league, still going for the golden boot as well. You've got to have Salah in there. And Southampton have just looked all over the place recently as well. Really poor underlying data. They are conceding goals left, right, and centre, and they just don't look the team that they did maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And then talking of the golden boot, we've got Son in there as well. And this would be the major advantage if you don't already own Son, get him into your team. And I'm desperately thinking of ways to get him in, but it's almost like the damage has been done now. I mean, over the last few weeks, over about the last 7 or 8 weeks, he has scored, I think, over about 100 points. Even just with captaincy alone, if you'd have captained him again, he got the 42-pointer, 38-pointer, scored once again in the first game of Game Week 36, which looked like the more difficult fixture. I don't think you can, with your full sanity there, have a free hit without Son in. So he's going to be in there. He's got the Vice armband. There's definitely justification to even captain Son if you want to. I just think that could be a slightly tricky fixture against Burnley. Again, they're going to try and wrap up the fact that they're not going to get relegated. They're going to try and stay in the Premier League, and they can make it difficult for Spurs. And Spurs do sometimes struggle against those deep-lying teams that kind of park the bus behind them. So I still would have Son. Son's still a good captaincy option. Maybe that's why I wouldn't be 100% on captaincy. And then the third single game week player in there is Kevin De Bruyne. Just looks unbelievably good at the moment. I mean, in game week 36, I feel very lucky in the first round of fixtures that he only picked up a single assist. But just to tell you how good he was, City won 5-0. Laporte and Cancelo both got attacking returns. Sterling got a brace. at the time of recording this, De Bruyne is still on 2 bonus points. So it just shows you how many chances he created and how good he was in game week 36. And on another day, he's coming away from there with at least, and I mean at least 4 attacking returns. So I think you've got to, again, have De Bruyne, if you can squeeze him into your team, and if you don't like any of the other doublers, I think that these 4, because these are the only 4 single game week players in this team, I think they're worth it ahead of doublers. Trent, Salah, De Bruyne, Son. I think on their day, they easily outscore a lot of the other double game week options that you could choose from. That's not to say that if you went for Maddison, I would dislike it. If you went for Cooney, I would dislike it. Even taking a punt on someone like Buendia. But I just think De Bruyne, Son, Salah and Trent are just so good that I would want them in my team. And then the final 2 players are double game week players. Starting with Gordon. The reason for having Gordon in there is, of course, we've got 4 premiums if you count Trent as a premium. And the rest of the team's relatively expensive. So it just allows you to squeeze in that 3rd premium in the midfield. And he's also got decent data. Over the last 6 game weeks, he's actually got 0.5 expected goal involvement per 90, which is better than a lot of mid-price midfielders. He's on a lot of set pieces. Everton have everything to play for. And the other thing, speaking to Everton fans, I didn't realise this myself till I'd spoken to some Everton fans. Gordon is very, very good at home and pretty terrible away from home. So a lot of his goals, pretty much all of his goals this season have come at home. So 2 home fixtures for him there. I think this is the sort of game week where Gordon could do very well. And again, just due to the prices, I think he's just a really nice enabler to have in your team. And then the 5th midfielder is Zaha. I spoke about this over on the Fantasy Football Fix channel. Go and watch that episode if you haven't already. Zaha's underlying data is not very good. So it's 0.3 non-penalty expected goal involvement over the season, which is pretty comparable over the season to someone like Gordon. When you put penalties in, it's fantastic because he's actually taken 5 penalties this season, 6 if you count the one that he missed. So he's taken a lot of penalties. And I think as a result, it's inflated his underlying data. And when you remove penalties from the equation, Zaha's had a very underwhelming season, both with respect to underlying data and his actual output. But of course, he is on penalties. He still gets into really good positions, getting over 4 touches in the box per 90. And I just think that Zaha is probably the best of a bad bunch for this double game week. And he's this kind of guy that I would like to punt on. So I would have him in your free hit draft for sure, but just don't be shocked if he doesn't turn up because at the moment he is very, very, very reliant on penalties and he's not showing a great deal outside of that. So maybe if you were looking to captain him, maybe look elsewhere, but I would still probably take the punt on him just due to the lack of other options that you've got. So that is the midfield 5. Let me know down below if I've missed any other midfielders, if you would take a punt on the likes of Coutinho and Maddison. Of course, the second round of fixtures in 36 will massively influence what my decision would be here. I'm pretty happy with that midfield 5. Let's take a look at the 2 strikers and also the players on the bench as well. So guys, here are the 2 strikers and the bench as well. Starting with the strikers, I think the only real omissions here is maybe you want to go for Kane. Again, a decent fixture against Burnley, but I'm not sure in a free hit I would want him ahead of De Bruyne. I feel like De Bruyne is a slightly more fun punt, but you could quite easily switch the structure around, play a 3-4-3 and have Kane up top, as we'll discuss with the FPL review team of the week / free hit, optimal free hit. And then the other omission is maybe you want to go for a Crystal Palace striker. But again, I wouldn't feel comfortable trying to predict if Mateta or Edouard are going to start both of those games. So I think I would prefer to have Zaha and then have these 2 up top, which is Richarlison and Watkins. I think Richarlison in particular is a fantastic option this week. If you look at all of the predicted sites such as FPL Review, Fantasy Football Fix, Fantasy Football Hub, Scout, all of them will project that Richarlison has the highest projected points for game week 37. He's on penalties. It's 2 good home fixtures. He's got really good non-penalty expected goal involvement over the last 6 matches. And so for me, he's basically a better version of Zaha for the upcoming game week. And therefore, I would prefer to captain him ahead of Zaha. And to be honest, if I wasn't captaining Richarlison, I'd maybe be more tempted by the likes of Son and Salah ahead of Zaha. Again, this is the sort of game week where he could go crazy, Zaha, but the stats just don't necessarily support that. So I really like Richarlison. I think he's a fantastic option, and I assume that most of you will either already own him or have him on the free hit. And then the second striker is Ollie Watkins. Slightly better double than we saw in game week 36. But again, Watkins got a goal against Burnley. They have a game against Burnley once again in 37. And then Palace is the second one. We spoke about the fact that Palace are very good defensively. So maybe you're not hoping for too much from Richarlison and Watkins, considering they both have games against Palace. But again, I could quite easily see them scoring 1 goal, maybe 2 goals. And if they do, you would expect Richarlison and Watkins to be at the heart of that. So I think they are arguably the 2 best strikers that you could be going for. And outside of Kane and maybe a Crystal Palace attacker, I don't think there are many other options, to be honest. And then with respect to the bench, I've got Foster on there. I think I'm actually £0.2 million short of achieving this team. You could just go for the likes of Still, a £3.9 million keeper. I'm pretty sure Pickford will be fine. The only reason I've got him in there is just in case something happens where Pickford randomly misses them. At least you've got a keeper there. And then you've got Anderson and Mitchell. I've actually got 2 Crystal Palace cheap defenders as my first 2 subs. There's definitely justification, like I said, due to how good they are defensively to get them into the team. There's 2 reasons I haven't. Number one, I've got an Aston Villa attacker and I've got 2 Everton attackers. So I guess I'm betting against Crystal Palace clean sheets anyway. And I just don't prefer them over any of my attackers particularly. I think realistically all you're hoping for from these 2 is clean sheets and maybe a couple of bonus, whereas the others have either attacking output or, like I said, in Cash and Dean, they've also got the potential for a clean sheet. So I think they're great first subs and second subs. I'm not desperate to get them into the team. And then I've just got Richardson there as well, just because in order to achieve this team, you have to go for a cheap third striker. So let me know down below, what do you think of my Game Week 37 free hit draft? This is what I came up with. I did put quite a lot of effort and thought into this. I didn't just chuck this together on the spot. I did try and think of different combinations of players and where I would want to be putting my budget. And this is the best team I could put together. Just to recap where I think I am missing players is I would like, even though I am betting against it, maybe 1 Crystal Palace defender / keeper in there. And then maybe I'm maybe missing a little bit from Leicester because they do have a decent fixture against Watford, and then Chelsea haven't looked great recently. So maybe I'm missing a little bit of Leicester in this team as well. I just think that the other players that I've chosen are probably slightly better. So let me know down below what you think. Let's now take a look at what FPL Review think is the perfect optimal free hit for Game Week 37. So guys, I'm not sponsored by FPL Review, right? I'm not getting paid to, I just enjoy using FPL Review. So what I've got here on your screen is the projected points for some of the top players in Game Week 37, ordered by the player that is projected to get the highest points downwards. And then I've also got their optimal free hit team. So if you go onto their projected part of the website, based on your budget, they can build you the optimal free hit. So based on my budget of around £104 million, this is the team that they can build me. This is what they think is the optimal team to build. So just starting with the projected players with the highest projected points, we've got Richarlison and Watkins as the top 2, which just drives home the point that I would pick those 2 as your 2 strikers and your free hit, and that either are good captaincy options. But Richarlison is actually quite a bit clearer, 1.5 points clear of Watkins in second. Then you've got Martinez and Luca Dean, which again suggests that you might want to go for at least 2 Aston Villa defenders alongside Watkins. So Watkins and a double up on the defence is a really nice option. You've then got Pickford in there as well as a decent option. Zaha, Cash, Ings, Gordon, Coutinho, all of the doublers. The first single Game Week player to appear is actually Salah. You've then got Coleman, Gray, Buendia, Schmeichel, Kane, and then just below that, Son does come down in there as well. So this drives home the point that you really might want to be picking potentially some players that from the teams that double, as you would expect. So the optimal free hit team, according to FPL Review, this does change based on expected minutes, and they will update this throughout the week, and it's different depending on your budget. But they've got it as Schmeichel in goal, Luca Dean and Cash in defence, as I have. They've then got Coleman in defence because, of course, they've chosen to have a Leicester keeper. Their midfield 4 is Salah, Zaha, Gordon and Son. And then their front 3 is Richarlison, Watkins and Kane, with their bench being Maddison, Mark Gehi and Anderson. So it's actually very similar to my team. And I promise I built my team before looking at this, so I haven't just copied their team. So my team was built before looking at FPL Review. The major changes that they've got is they've got Schmeichel ahead of Pickford, which means they've then got Coleman in defence ahead of Trent. So they don't have Trent, Cancelo, Laporte. They've gone full double in the defensive back line. The midfield is, of course, exactly the same, but they've taken De Bruyne out and then they've put Kane in instead. Apologies. So it's basically the same team, right? It's Kane versus De Bruyne, and then it's putting Schmeichel in and having Coleman in there instead of Trent. And what that allows is a slightly stronger bench, as you can see, Maddison first sub. So not too dissimilar. Basically, my team looks pretty similar to the optimal team. As I said, let me know down below what you think is the optimal team. Let me know which of the 2 teams you prefer. Do you prefer the FPL Review team or do you prefer the FPL Raptor team? I won't be offended, I promise. The major difference, like I said, is pretty much Kane versus De Bruyne. And then they've just chosen to go for a full double defence, which is probably optimising. I just think Trent is so good. And if you're not going to go for Trent, maybe even go for someone like Cancelo, Robertson, Laporte, Van Dijk, someone like that, in my opinion. But let me know down below what you think of the 2 teams. Always interested to hear your thoughts. So guys, don't tell anyone. This is a bit of like a little bonus episode of just a bit of tinkering with my current team. So this isn't free hit related now. This is just a little bit to add on at the end if you're interested in what my current thoughts are. Almost like an early thoughts section of the video, just to tell you what I've got currently going on with my team and what I may be looking to do for 37 and 38 as well. So this is the current team. As you can see already, I've got Schmeichel, Cash, Gordon, Watkins and Richarlison, right? So can't count. 5 double game week players there. So a really, really good start to be in. And to be honest, I'm not that desperate to get in any of the other double gaming players. As we discussed, there are good options in there. To be honest, if Villa had a better fixture in 38, I would be super tempted by bringing in Luca Dean into the defence. If Zaha had slightly better data, I would be even more tempted by him. But to be honest, if I am going to bring in any player, it would be Zaha. The reason I'm maybe less tempted is if I were to bring Zaha into my team, it would be for Mason Mount or it would be for Havertz. Probably for Havertz, just because Lukaku looks like he's backfiring again. I think there's a chance that Havertz misses either 37 or 38. I think after getting a rest, Mount's likely to play the remainder of the season. So it would probably be for Havertz. But the issue with Zaha is he doesn't have a fantastic fixture in 38. It's against Manchester United. And I know Manchester United just got battered 4-0 by Brighton. It should have been more. But I still think there are probably better players to have on that final day. Even someone like Havertz, and just hope that he starts against Watford. So I guess I'm thinking more so about actually rolling the transfer. But if I were to, like I said, it would be Havertz in, Zaha probably in for Havertz. And then I would just get Zaha into the starting 11, probably ahead of Alonso or Cancelo or Mount. So it would be for one of the, maybe even Saka, because Newcastle, apart from, again, the Manchester City fixture, they've actually looked pretty decent there. As you can see, the bench is a little bit stacked, right? So Havertz, Laporte and Pukki, I think they're all good options this week. And even Foster against Leicester, that is the sort of bench where it's probably going to outscore my Game Week 36 bench boost, which isn't going very well at the time of recording this. So, like I said, probably going to roll. I'll discuss in my team selection video some other options that I might want to go for. If we just skip ahead to 38, you'll see why I'm slightly tempted to roll, because the team doesn't look bad, but there are, I think, good opportunities here to do some other stuff. And of course, the major omission in my team is I still don't own Heung-min Son. So it might be by 38. I go, do you know what? It's too late. Maybe I just go the final game without him and just endure even more punishment. Or I might just say, enough's enough. Let me get him in and captain him. But let me just put in the players that obviously have the slightly better fixtures here. It probably looks something like that, right? If I didn't make a transfer, I would probably field this team. So let me just get the armband would probably, do you know what? It would probably be on someone like Alonso. I'm probably going to take a big risk with my 38 captaincy. So Alonso with the cap. The only two players that I'm not desperate to get out, but really do need to come out here are probably Richarlison and Gordon. They don't need to come out. There's the option that they score. But again, if I'm looking to get Son in, which I am, it would be probably for Gordon. But if I do that, of course, then I would need to find quite a lot of money. So let me get Son in for Gordon. And then let me get Tony in for Richarlison, because I think that could be a really, really nice fixture for Ivan Toney. I've been eyeing that up for a while now. I need to find 4.6 million. So I can't actually do that unless I take a -8, right? I remember doing this from the other video. So instead, what would probably have to happen is Gordon drops to the bench, right? It would probably have to be in for Havertz at this stage. So it might be, do you know, I do want to do the move for Zaha in Game Week 37. Son in for Havertz. Tony in for Richarlison. And then I need to find 1.3 million here, you can see. So I'm thinking here it might be that I want to do then Watkins out, and I'll have 6.1 million in the bank. It could potentially even be Nketiah, right? So that would be from -4. It would allow me to get Son captain in, and it would, to be honest, allow me to have a very, very good looking team here. I guess that it comes down to, and we're not going to discuss this in too much detail now, I'll discuss it in Game Week 38 if I do roll the transfer. Do I want to take one final punt of going without Son in the hope that I shoot up the ranks and that Son miraculously blanks against Norwich away on the final game of the season when he's going for the golden boot? Or do I just want to do damage limitation, bring him in, give him the armband, and hope that the rest of my team, maybe some differentials such as Mount, Tony, and Alonso at this stage, do the business for me? So that's just a little bit of sort of bonus content around what I'm currently planning for the upcoming week. Again, of course, I'm not free hitting, so this is what my team currently looks like. Probably going to roll for 37, but do let me know down below if you think I should be a little bit more aggressive. Get Zaha in for Havertz. So I'll just show you what that would look like, of course. Zaha in for Havertz, that would be my one free transfer. Put him in ahead of Mount, and then I could even play Mount in ahead of Alonso if I wanted to, and the team would look something like this. Let me know down below what you think, and also let me know down below what your current plans are for 37. There is going to be so much content for Game Week 37, guys. We've got this video here, we've got team selection, we've got Game Week preview video, we've got a captaincy video I think I'm going to do for this week on Saturday as well, and then we've got a Sunday live stream. So there is so much content. Make sure to subscribe down below, and also let me know what your plans are for Game Week 37. So guys, there you have it. That is my Game Week 37 Ultimate Team Draft Guide, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully it was helpful for you if you're on your free hit. And even if you're not on your free hit, hopefully it was still an enjoyable watch and it gave you some ideas of which players to target for Game Week 37. If you are enjoying the content here on this channel, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to add a fourth thing today. Turn on notifications. Click that little bell, turn on notifications, and that will just drop you a little message on your phone or on your computer and just let you know when a video of mine goes live so that you can watch it as soon as possible. Hopefully we get green arrows in 37. Like I said, there is still so much content to come. Can't wait for it. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.